Seth Porges is a freelance journalist who was in Paris when the attacks unfolded. He was near the scene of a restaurant that came under fire. It's great to talk to you. So you were staying at an apartment across from El Carrion, which is one of the first restaurants where the attacks first unfolded.
Absolutely. I was staying at an apartment almost next door, and I had no idea anything was going on. It probably went down when I was on my way down the elevator just to go get a bite to eat. And I step outside, and right in front of my building is a man bleeding out of his hand, dripping blood on the sidewalk. And my thought wasn't, here's somebody who's been shot. My thought was, here's somebody who's been in a fight or punched some glass. It was a Friday night. I walk a couple of steps, and I see a number of police officers. And then I realize that their guns are drawn, and they're hunched behind vans, and it looks like a shootout is about to begin. And this is going on while there's dozens of onlookers circling the scenes, phones in the air, taking pictures, standing on benches. Nobody is telling us, shoo. Nobody is telling us, get away from here.
Did you hear screaming?
There was no screaming that we heard. And this is what was incredible, is this was maybe 5 minutes after incident occurred. And you could have walked 20 steps away from it and had no idea anything was happening.
You're a journalist. What was your automatic gut reaction?
I wanted to know what was going on, just because at first it didn't look like a major terrorist attack. It looked like a small-scale crime scene, like a traffic stop almost. There was a couple of cops. I didn't see their guns at first, and the streets weren't even blocked out.
Here's a picture that you took of the scene as the police were getting there. And still, even thinking it's a crime scene, you took to Twitter. What did you say?
Well, once I heard that there was a man with a gun, a machine gun, and that he was potentially loose in the neighborhood. And then I looked on Twitter and saw there was nothing about this. I knew I had to warn people to stay away from here. I was being told there might be a man with a machine gun on the loose. So I took to Twitter and I said, if you're in Paris, stay as far away from here as you possibly can. There's reports there's a guy with a machine gun here. Stay away. And best I know, that was the first word of anything about this.
At that point, did you ever hear shots?
No, I didn't hear any shots at all.
And as the reports start coming in that there are other places under siege in Paris, when did it dawn on you you had survived, you had escaped a terrorist attack?
So as I leave the scene, my thought was, I want to get away from this, because I thought this was an isolated incident. I didn't know anything else was going on, and nobody else on the street did too. You walk 20 steps, people were talking on their phones, they're laughing. It's Friday night. Word had not spread beyond a block of where this was. And my thought was, I got to get away from here. And there's going to be a shootout. And it looked to me like there was going to be a shootout. I wanted to get to a narrow alleyway, somewhere that didn't have a clear line of sight. This was an open area. I wanted to get away from that open area. So I tried to find a small, narrow street that did not face where I was before. And then I called in people, actually called into a news program. And when I was on the line waiting to be connected in to tell my story, I hear a live feed of what they're saying, and I hear the words bomb. And I hear that other instances occurred, and that was the first I had heard that anything else had happened.
And here you are, you're in Paris, you don't speak the language beyond functional French, correct?
Very basic.
Okay, so how do you go about navigating to safety if you don't know where safety is?
You just get away from where things. It's a great question. You know, you just operate on instinct. You walk and you walk and walk until you feel safe. Nobody knows what's safe in this situation. It's a gut, it's a feel. There's no authority, there's no loudspeaker that's saying go here or don't go there. You just go where you think you're going to be safe.
Meanwhile, you weren't the only person who was posting online. There were a lot of people posting from inside the Bataclan Theater, from out on the street at other shootings, outside of the soccer stadium as well. And so the world is following along. Did you start getting messages and phone calls?
My phone did not stop ringing. So once this began, nobody had any idea anything was going on. Within about 30 minutes, it was clear that the word was out, that something was going on in Paris, and the rest of the world knew this. And my phone didn't stop for the next 12 hours. And then I got to Facebook, and there was a safety check feature where you're allowed to tell the world that you're in this scenario, but you're okay, you're safe. And I did that, and I think that was a big sigh of relief for my friends and family.
Yeah, how important do you think that's going to be as unsafe situations are unfolding around the world in the future?
I think this is a great example of what that feature can be used for, because what you don't want to do is have everybody clogging up the phone lines and keeping first responders and keeping emergency folks from making the phone calls they need to make. And what the Facebook safety feature does is allows people to broadcast their scenario, their situation, without calling everybody they know.
Seth, you got on a plane yesterday and you booked it back to the United States, even though you're a journalist, you're a freelance journalist, And you were at the center of the story that the world is following. Why did you come back here on Saturday, less than 24 hours after the attacks?
I'm a journalist, but I'm a person first, and I have friends and family, and it was really important for me to get home. People were worried about me, and I just wanted to be home.
You know, today we've been watching Paris, and as Parisians and tourists and those who are concerned go to the sites of these attacks, they're laying candles and flowers and notes and praying, and yet those have become very scary scenes as well. Just because people are on edge, I want to show you some video and sort of get your sense on how it fits into the big picture of what you saw when you were in Paris. From today, again, the video I want to show you is today, where people were at these memorials. And let me pull up the sound here. We were actually on with a correspondent where we heard a loud shot. Sounded like it could have been gunfire, it could have been a car backfiring, it could have been firecrackers. It turns out it was an emergency vehicle rolling over glass bottles. How on edge is Paris? When you left it yesterday afternoon, what did it feel like?
So over the course of the night, you could see the city visibly transform. When this began, most people had no idea, and they were going about their business. Within about 2 hours, number of people on the street just diminished and diminished and diminished till it was almost nothing. There's still some people out, especially right by the police barricades, and that occurred at La République Plaza. And that's right by where I was staying. It's right by where this incident was, and that's right where a police barricade was at night, blocking everything off. So my last memory of La République Plaza are not just police, but at this point military, guys with giant guns, creating massive barricades, keeping anybody from going through. I saw a police officer get into a fist fight with somebody trying to shoot with a video camera over there. It was very, very tense, and the streets were eerily quiet for a Friday night.
When you got back to New York and you took a look around, and yes, you're back with your friends and family, but has what happened in Paris changed the way you see New York City?
It hasn't sunk in. Maybe it will change the way I see New York City or the rest of the world once I have a moment to take a breath and decompress and really imagine and understand what occurred. But for me right now, I'm still in tunnel vision. I'm still sort of there. I'm still sort of trying to understand what happened. And it happened in such a strange way for me because I was getting information in drips and drips, perhaps after folks back here were, because I wasn't watching the news. I was on the streets, running, walking on 2 or 3 hours, trying to find safety and trying to find my way back to the apartment, not realizing that running from the one scene that I thought was dangerous could have put me right into another because I didn't realize this was going on elsewhere in the city.
Seth Porges, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us. I hope you get some good downtime with the people who love you.
Thank you.